On Tuesday, we talked with a few of the Canadian Nationals commissioners about the 60th anniversary of the show, as well as some of their favorite and most memorable experiences.
My name is Alan Ehrlich, and I am the Vice Chair of the Canadian Arabian Show Commission. Basically, it's the tone of everything that's going on. 60 years is a long time. There's a lot of memories. I'm encouraging people to go by the AHA booth and see the memory chart that they've done, which is fabulous. And I mean, I've been here a long time, a lot of things on that I did not realize. And I realized it came out in the magazine, but for people to see it bright and center, it's wonderful. We have Military Day on Friday. And so from the base not too far away from here, there'll be people coming. And Friday will be traditional Red Day, where you ask everybody to wear something red. And it's just an awareness of it. I mean, it's the longest running national horse show in AHA. And it's just been a privilege. It's a wonderful, wonderful horse show. In my first year as a director of AHA, I was asked by the then chair of the show commission if I would be interested in being on the Canadian Show Commission. And I thought about it. I really didn't know much about it. I had been showing at the Canadian Show, and I thought, okay, why not give it a try? And I, not ever envisioning that I would be there for a long time. And here we are 23 years later, and I'm still here and still going. Running a really, really good horse show for people and families and watching them enjoy it. And I take great satisfaction in looking at their people's expressions and whatever. In real life, I'm an FEI steward, and I steward at horse shows 90 days a year, and it's about reading the people. And I read them pretty well, and just making people have a good time. And we have people, if you look around, they're having a great time. It's kind of somewhat laid back and yet efficient, and we try to keep up with the times and make it the best possible effort, that we can do. Two years ago, when I had been diagnosed with cancer, we delayed the surgery till after the show, and as it turned out, it was major, but I was very fortunate that year. I had 2 champions and 2 reserves, and people were so wonderful and so understanding and so kind. It was a moment that Cheryl and I will not forget. So purely for selfish reasons, that was. But I've been very fortunate. I've had great horses, and I've been fortunate that, and again, in being national champion or reserve 106 times. I think it's a record for an amateur, and it's a blessing. But the camaraderie around this show, the effort. I mean, we are a working show commission, and I've been here 23 years, Gerald's been here 22 years, Tony 21, Dave 10, Mark is our rookie. We're all really close friends, and there's a lot of trust and a lot of relying on each other. We all do different things at the horse show and bring different things to the table. And it's a great organization. We're in a wonderful facility with super people who try everything they can to make the show successful. The mayor of the city is very much in our corner, and as many frustrations as there are, and my goodness, there are many, at the end of the dance, you had a great time. my first Olympics 1968. I had a spectacular horse named the Nomad, and he was a registered Anglo-Arabian. But to me, he was just a great horse and did wonderful things for me. It wasn't until after, when I got into the Arabians in the early 80s, I realized, my goodness, there is a reason he was so spectacular. And I was at an Arabian show, and as fate would have it, I met Cheryl, my wife. So you Arabian people are responsible for, yeah, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. And I just started, going to shows, and obviously when I got on the commission, I got more involved. And, as an AHA director, this is my 16th year, but I've been in and around and done tons of committee work, and I've been on this show commission. I'm currently on the U.S. Show Commission as well, but I bleed royal red. It's just very special and privileged to right place at the right time. I had a very, very good horse, and that first year we trained all year. I went down, I actually won the U.S. Olympic trials. And so I made the team, and I stayed on the team for 12 years with different horses. But the original one was an Anglo-Arabian who was, he would be a super horse in any era. And that started it. And then as we went along, I've, acquired some absolutely spectacular horses. We bred a couple that went national champion. That's kind of a different feeling when you breed them, train them, and then they go national champion. And again, my wife has been the trainer for the whole period. And it's very, very positive, and a way of life. I think you can't make anything better unless you're willing to put forth an effort to get involved and gather all the information you can. And one of the genres that I live by in my stewarding is that if you make it better for the people, in theory, the people will make it better for the horses. So I think you have to get people's opinions, you have to listen to them, pick the good, the bad, and the ugly, pick what you need. You can never not learn. But it's hard for people, if they don't get involved, to really know what's going on. And you need to be involved. If you want to express your opinion, you need to be involved. Everybody has different restrictions on how much involvement they can, but everybody has a little. And you start with your local clubs, and then you work your way through your local clubs to your region, and through your region to the national. And I think you need to look at the big picture. Not everybody wants to be heavily involved. I am very fortunate in that, I've been retired for 25 years, but in that, volunteerism has become a way of life. And it's kind of a give back, for what the horses have given me. My answer is it's my give back. And not everybody is able to do that, but everybody has something to give. And if you want to make it better for the Arabian horse and the Arabian people, I think the people need to give something. Idle chatter doesn't accomplish anything.
Hi, I'm Dave Daughtery. I'm one of the Canadian National Show Commissioners. I've been on the commission for the last 10 years. I basically had horses ever since I can ever remember. One of the first ones I ever had, I think I was about 7 years old, and my dad bought me a Shetland pony. It was a driving pony when we lived in Wilmington, Ohio, and I graduated to quarter horses. And when I got out of the military, I got back into horses. I was showing at Congress. I met my lovely wife of 25 years when I gave her a traffic ticket. She owned a carriage business in downtown Columbus, and she paid that ticket, but I've been paying ever since. Yeah, she knows. And I don't know, it was about 19 years ago, I went to a regional meeting for Region 14, and a good friend of ours, Donna Kitchell, told Cindy Clinton, she said, I think they'd be good to help do something. And I don't know, the next year they asked us, well, would you be willing to help, you know, kind of supervise the trophies and ribbons? I'm like, I don't know nothing about ordering that. She's like, we'll do all that. So ever since then, we've done that and so much more, and that's kind of how it all started. I first started, I got on the board of Ohio Half. Vanita Prophet was the president. A couple years later, she asked me to get on the board, and I just had this bad habit of not saying no. I quit, I said yes. And then I did that. I ended up eventually being the president, which I currently am, of Ohio Half. And then I went on to be the Region 14 director. And quite honestly, the way I ended up on the Canadian Commission, I met my brother from another mother at a board meeting, Alan Ehrlich. And I don't know, Alan and I became pretty close, good friends. And he said to me, hey, we've got this opening. Would you be interested? And there again, I couldn't say no. And I said yes. And I did that first. And I don't know exactly how it happened, but I suffered from an acute fever one night and decided I wanted to do U.S. But I didn't really want to give up Canada, and it kind of worked out. And I started in the Working Western Division, which I really, other than Western Pleasure, had no background in. Like the first year at U.S., I fell in love over there with the reining, the trail, you know, the cutting, working cow. It's just a great group of people. The exhibitors are extremely appreciative. They're hardworking, understanding, and I don't know, I really like it. Yeah. It's fun over there. We have a lot of good times over there. Yeah, I would, because if, you know, you never really know what the process is. You may think you know how things work or how things happen until you get involved. And unless you're willing to get involved, if you feel there's things that need to be changed or improved upon, it is harder to have that impact on those changes or improvements until you get involved. So yeah, I recommend definitely getting involved in your local, in your local level clubs and your shows, because it takes a lot of people to put on a horse show.
I became chairman the first year that I was put on the show commission. What had happened was I was coming off of the board. And you know, we have the little board get together at convention, and I somehow got in a corner with the EC around me and said, you need to run. I think two things really. The people that we have on the commission that we work with, you know, we all are here for the same reason, to make a great horse show. And the horse itself, and besides the horse, you know, and the members that we have, and serving our members. I've seen so many classes, it's hard for me to pick out any particular class. I mean, we've had some really, really good horses over the years come through the Canadian Nationals, and you know, whether it was Bale Bay or Patron, you know, Magnum Psyche, they were all horses shown at Canadian Nationals over the years. You know, and when we were in Regina, there was, you know, we had some pretty significant halter classes and some good fun times with reining and freestyle reining, and all those were fun events to watch. Personally, myself, I've always liked the native costume class, because I showed native costume, or did for many years. and as originally English pleasure, and then into show hack as well. And then, so they're all, the show hack class was actually created by our club that I belong to. Yeah, the original array. So show hack to what, put it this way, in Western Canada, it's believed that the show hack came out of one of two areas, either the BC Interior or the Southlands area in Vancouver. So Southlands is a affluent area of Vancouver for the horse population, and it came out of one of those two areas. And then a member of our club, Mrs. Wendy Reed, who was a longtime member of our club, wrote the original rules for show hack in the Arabian division within what was then Equine Canada, I guess. And then it started showing up in the Arabian horse shows, and then it got more interest, and we eventually got into the Canadian Nationals as a class. And back then, it took quite a bit of persuading to add classes to a national show. It wasn't something that was done very quickly. It was always had to be a lot of background to get a class in. And then another member, past member of the association, kind of rewrote the rules and updated them some, which is basically the basis of what we have now for the rules, and continue on. So I showed show hack for a long time, and did that. And this is before the days of hunter pleasure or country pleasure. So I was riding one of our mares that we had bred in Western, actually, because she wasn't an English horse, an English pleasure horse, and then country pleasure came along and I switched her to that. She did well at the local level. Awful lot of my showing has been done at the local level and some regional level and a little bit of national level.
Make sure to join us on Wednesday for more exciting classes, and stay tuned for more interesting stories from Brandon.